showing that they connect and bloom.
Welcome to the Bloom Show. This is Saeed, and I was just four pieces. Welcome to the Bloom Show. This is Saeed, your host. The Bloom Show is brought to you by New Bloom Media, and today we have an awesome episode. It's the Floriexpo edition episode. We are talking to some Floriexpo representatives and as well some guests and attendees to share what are the best practices with Floriexpo. Why should we attend? Why should you attend as a vendor or as a guest? As an attendee, and what are we looking forward to in the next couple of years? What's been exciting about Floriexpo so far is that, and working with them as we're working on a couple cool projects together, some panels, we'll talk about that as well. What's been exciting is the energy. There's been some awesome new energy brought to the table with new ideas, and we've seen it with some great partnerships with that flower feeling. Great partnerships with Afia. So we've been seeing some great things, and that's why I wanted him on the show to talk about that a little bit more and talk about what to expect when you attend Floriexpo. Not only the awesome cruise, which we all look forward to, and the golden, I think, hour party, that's awesome. Great venue, great location, but also great business opportunities to be had. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Kim Boin from Galleria Farms, Bob Callahan, president of Floriexpo, and Bradley Gaines, director of Floral for United Family, onto the show. Give me a second, a little technical difficulties, but you'll see them soon.
The bloom, showing that they connect and bloom. The bloom, showing that they connect and bloom.
I'm sorry, I always bob my head to that sound. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the show. How are you, Kim, Bob, Bradley? How's it going?
Great.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Firstly, thank you for being on the show and for collaborating with us this year. And really excited about that great new energy you're bringing to the table. I think we saw it right out of the gate with some great collaborations that we're really big into. Innovate, Connect, and Bloom. We're really big into collaborations, so I have to say I'm really excited to have you here today and to talk more about that. Thank you so much. I do want to give a little shout out to our audience. Thank you for joining, and please chime in, comment, give a shout out. We all love your interaction, and this show is by the floral community for the floral community, so it's important for you to dive in and participate. So thank you. So let's jump again. Thank you for our guests for being here. Thank you so much. And let's jump right in. Kim, can you share a little bit of who you are to the wonderful world that may not know you?
Absolutely. So I'm Kim Boin, and recently joined Galleria Farms as a senior key account executive this past October. But I've been in floral for, we'll say, 20 years.
Awesome. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
How about yourself, Bradley?
I'm the director of Floral for United, like you mentioned. We're in Texas and New Mexico. I've been in the industry 30 plus years, and this show is one of my favorite shows of the year. So super excited about it.
How many years have you been attending the show? 30 plus years?
29 maybe. Yeah.
Wow. So you've only missed one. That's awesome. And how about yourself, Bob? Everybody knows you already, but what's your background? I think that's kind of cool to know.
Yeah, we purchased, myself and two partners, Christine Salmon and Lawrence St. Clair, purchased Floriexpo from our old company back in August. We've been combined in the trade show industry for 50 plus years. We've seen what works, what doesn't work. We're just delighted to be, dedicated 100%, 365 days a year to the floral industry and Floriexpo.
And I think I saw you on Willie's show, Flowers and Scents. So shout out to Willie. And I think that's a real big part and something to know is that you're going to build community. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, a lot of times a large trade show organizer, you're responsible for multiple events and even publications. So when Floriexpo ended, we had 3 or 4 other events plus 2 publications that we were responsible for. it's just tough to dedicate resources to the event. And we saw that's where the opportunity was with Floriexpo. If we could, come together, join and work 365 days a year, I hope the audience and everyone's seen our level of activity on social media. We're promoting our exhibitors. We're promoting the conference sessions. And then we're also able to give back to the community. It's something that we've always wanted to do in terms of working with that flower feeling at the show that we'll talk about a little bit later. And also working with AFIA, which, AFIA's association mission is more important than ever during these times of tariffs going on in the industry.
Very much so. And we'll talk about the panel that we're doing with Christine Bota will be joining us as well. So let's jump right in. It's a little different of a format. We have specific questions for specific panelists because it is a different perspective. We bring the distributor perspective. Raise your hand, Kim. So from the distributor grower perspective, supermarket perspective, and then in general with the Floriexpo perspective of, best tips. So I think it's really interesting in bringing a little bit of everybody because our audience is so wide. And, there's other perspectives too, but we only have 4 boxes here. But when it comes down to it, there's also wholesale. There's different people that do attend. But let's chime in here with what are the top flower sourcing challenges facing growers today, and how can Floriexpo help overcome that? You could take that, Kim, if you don't want.
Yeah, for sure. I'll skip over the tariff conversation because that's got its own show. But I would honestly say that the weather has been the biggest issue. Like the weather in Colombia and Ecuador has been absolutely atrocious this year, from hailstorms to severe flooding, unseasonably cold temperatures. The impact has been really, really substantial. And I think that whether or not a grower actually wants to admit it, it's really impacted late production, which causes shorts and delays. And, we have to make phone calls we don't want to have to make, and emails
Yeah.
we don't want to have to send to our customers. But this spring has really been like no spring I have seen from a weather perspective. And it's so frustrating because you can be so incredibly prepared and organized in every area of your business. And, this happens, it's completely out of your control. And everything is so magnified and intensified right up to the last shipment. I think that the audibles are just popping up left, right, and
Mm.
center, and you have to be constantly reactive and try and stay positive to just push through to the end. But I honestly think that coming off of such a tough season, um, that Floriexpo couldn't be better timing.
And why is that?
I mean, honestly, it's such a great opportunity for networking, and it just brings the industry together, and you're able to share your war stories of the season, but also, hopefully some solid wins. And I really honestly think that it's through that organic conversations that you're having and through the, incredible networking that the show offers that it leads to new opportunities. And that's what these shows are really all about is new opportunities. And it's just such a detailed show. Like, Bob and the team have really done such an incredible job. So it's really endless opportunities once you're there.
And to talk about opportunities, I kind of go off questions, but to talk about opportunities, there's some educational programs too, right, Bob? And I think it's a good time to talk about the panel as well. What are those opportunities that are either new or you want to highlight?
Yeah. First, I just want to add to Kim's point. I always use Kim's quote. Floriexpo, when Kim was a buyer, was the light at the end of the tunnel. So when you're working off of Valentine's Day and Easter and Mother's Day, you know, then
Oh,
the
yes.
light is Floriexpo, where you have the
Mhm.
time to reset
Yeah.
and have those conversations that Kim is talking about. And I'm sure a lot of the audience members are back there shaking their heads saying, yes, we're going through it too. And so that's where the show provides that platform where people can discuss and solve problems for the future. But our education program, we're really excited about that. It's basically, you know, the top buyers in the country that we're getting input from on our advisory board, and Bradley is
Yep.
one of them. Have helped us put together the necessary topics and give us like a framework to go with, and then we went out to the industry. So we have sessions on AI, which is, you know, if you're lacking resources, it's such an important new feature to take advantage of, and it's amazing how many people don't really understand it yet. So we're gonna talk about that. Live Trends is going to do a 2026 trends report, which is very popular. You know, when they bring this presentation to the offices of buyers, they all rave about it. So they're gonna do that. And then, you know, then we have a session on secondary holidays. So this is one that I'm very excited about. It's just
Cool.
how can you know, promote beyond just the traditional holidays of Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. You know,
Yeah.
the secondary holidays, they're getting so popular, it can really boost sales. We have a session on doing more with less. You know, everybody needs to do more with less during these times. And then with you, Saeed, we're working on a new session that's going to take place Friday morning on the show floor. We're providing breakfast, and that's going to be a panel on a tariff discussion.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
And what's funny about the tariff discussion is that we did a tariff series and we were talking about it earlier. We're not sure what's going to happen then, but it's always going to be a topic that is going to exist. And as you said, and as we've said, for the next 4 years. So it's something to prepare for if there's any changes, how do we prepare? And we're also bringing different perspective as well. So there's something to learn from everybody there, for everybody there. So that's awesome. Let's jump to Mr. Bradley Gaines. What innovative floral products are supermarkets prioritizing, and how does Floriexpo 2025 help retailers discover these trends?
I think that really, you know, the show, I've always said this, the show is a perfect time. It's right after our crazy season. And especially in the last 3 to 5 years, Mexican Mother's Day, Dia de las Madres, is really making Mother's Day the super holiday of the year. So for us in the Southwest, it is a super holiday. Bob mentioned, you know, all the secondary holidays. Really, there's a day for everything. There's a margarita day. There's, you know, a tequila day. There's a day for everything. But
A
really,
boyfriend day.
a what?
There's a boyfriend day now, you know, like Valentine's Day. Now it's for the boyfriends. It's kind of cool. And there's also those gifts to give. Sorry to cut you off. I was
No. Yeah, for sure. There's a yellow flower day now that's really big.
Okay, wow.
But really what we're trying to have as our secondary holidays are really around multicultural events for our guests. And those holidays are really, being in the food industry, food and flowers, it's just how everybody celebrates. So that really, we're looking for that.
Makes sense.
And more things to help our guests celebrate in different ways around what's important to them. So secondary holidays, exactly like Bob said, but really kind of transitioning that into what does it look like multicultural. The Yellow Flower Day started in Mexico 2 years ago, big holiday. Now there's one in the spring and the fall. So it's just a big win. And you can have those conversations, whether they're audibles for the season, and some conversations are good. But then if you do have to have those hard conversations, it's good to have it one-on-one, face-to-face, in front of our vendor partners, and find solutions.
Yeah, and communicating that, because you're saying Dia de la Madre is Mexican holiday. I'm like, wow, okay, that's really interesting, and that's what I've mentioned. It's micro holidays and micro markets right? So it's really interesting to have a platform to identify those micro holidays that are working for you, that might work for somewhere else that has a larger Mexican community around. Women's Day is one of those that has a lot of legs and has grown. So there's a lot of potential there. So congratulations on doing that, because I see the value. And what day will that be? Do you know any days when that panel will happen, Bob?
That'll be during the boot camp on Wednesday, June 4th. And to Bradley's point about the education and the secondary holidays, like we would have like a Nielsen session or things like that in the advisory boards. We have that information already. Like, we don't need that information. We want something that's hands-on, that we can bring back, implement to grow our sales. So that secondary holiday session, I think, is important for everybody, whether you're a mass market retailer or a retail florist, and it's going to benefit everyone who attends.
And it's very important because for a distributor, you could educate your customers that are not aware of it. So there's a benefit there. For a supermarket buyer, now you know that there's no opportunities to start looking for those things. So 100%, it's all that information, like we say on the show, creates more unity and empowers everybody to make better decisions. We have a comment that came in, more like a shout out. It says, Steve Santos, sorry to cover your face there, Bradley. Hi, Kim and Bradley. Yeah, gotta jump up a little bit to be shown. Sorry about that, Bradley.
Shout out back to Steven.
You covered his face, Steve. That's on us. So Bob, what practical strategies would you recommend for first-time attendees aiming to maximize ROI at Floriexpo? Well,
I think we have the networking covered. So we all the buyers and sellers are in one hotel, where as I'll mention, other events they're scattered throughout the city. So if you're coming by yourself, you're going to meet some new friends at Floriexpo, because everyone's together from sometimes Tuesday all the way through to Saturday on some occasions. And there's the education session is set with roundtables, so you're going to meet new people there. And then at the end of the day, there's a golden hour happy hour where you'll meet people there. And then on the show floor, and there's in the evening there's a boat cruise. So all those sessions all the networking is going to be handed to you. But I would suggest, what I am so impressed with the event is how serious the buyers take the event, and how they prepare beforehand in terms of researching the exhibitors, finding out what types of products they're selling, and then coming to the event prepared to ask the right questions. And so the show floor is big enough this year. So when you see the buyers, everyone have their notepads, they're taking notes, and they're looking at new products, gaining new ideas. You're gonna see hundreds of new products and hundreds of new ideas. So make sure you're writing down what you think will work in your business, and then at the end of the show, prioritize those ideas on what you think is going to work best and not, and then make sure you're taking your exhibitor contact name down so that you can follow up after. But it's designed for 3 days of a year's worth of business in 3 days, in terms of the meetings that are going to take place, the education, the sourcing. We provide meeting rooms. If anybody needs a meeting room, they can just reach out to myself, Christine, or Lauren, and we provide that for them so they can do their planning for the year. So it's all right there in front of you. All the information's on our website. And yeah, we're very excited, and it's just always, as I said, it's always so impressive to see how serious people take with their sourcing and visiting every booth and seeing if they can utilize that product in their store.
And I want to go to you, Bradley. Can you answer this question from your perspective as a buyer? And I want to twist it a little bit in the sense that, excuse me, still the vocal cords are healing here. But I still want to ask a question too. What can a new attendee do? New experience in your shoes. And secondly, what can a distributor or vendor looking to get your attention? What can they do to make it easier for you? Because I know it can be overwhelming for you, right? So what's one practice you've seen that, man, they caught my attention because they made it so digestible for me. So can you try to answer those two questions?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think the one thing that brings everybody together is we're very passionate about what we do. Floriexpo is very passionate about what they do, and you can see it in how the website, all the social media, what they're putting into the show. But one thing I have is this is a small enough show where you can see everybody. The networking capabilities are endless. And so a new buyer, I really would suggest put yourself out there. You know, libations help, but even if you don't drink, still go and put yourself out there. Talk to somebody that you've never known before. Meet new vendors, meet new peers, meet new buyers, because we're all here to grow our business and make the flower industry better.
Yeah.
But as far as the vendor partners, the people that have a booth, they really need to do a little homework. They need to do a little homework. They need to like go through the list and see exactly who is coming, how many stores, where their stores are. And so you're not having to go through the booth and go, okay, we're a 100-store chain in Texas and New Mexico. They already kind of know that. And a lot do. There are a lot that I'm impressed with. They have pictures of our stores. They have pictures of displays or what a rose program looks like from us. So really, as far as the vendor partners that are there, just do a little homework and just be ready to highlight what makes your product different. Highlight, whether it's the growing conditions, the premium availability of your product. Just do a little homework and just shout out what makes you different, because we don't want to see the same thing in every booth. Everybody does something special, and really highlight those special things that you do. And if you're only going to have a short amount of time, so make sure that you welcome them, show them your highlights, because it could be a 10-minute conversation or it could be a 30-minute conversation. But if you get what you want out of the way first, as far as the vendor partner, it's going to make everybody happy. They're going to be happy. The buyers are going to be happy. And then we're all going to walk away successful.
And I think that's a great point, is be educated to understand what products work for them, understand your business, right? And it's a compliment. It's a great, starter. For one, is knowing that company you're looking to buy something from knows your business. So
Yep.
Great points. Thank you so much. I have a question. Sorry, I have a question here from one of my favorite people in our industry, Kristen from Gardens America. Is, will we have access to the attendee list before the show? I want to do my homework, but I've not seen an attendee list. So I think there's some sort, because I think I saw something. Bob, can you answer that?
I mean, we have to be careful with providing, like we can provide, and we'll be putting out there shortly, like the attendees that are coming and the number of stores they're responsible for, and we could do job title. We just want to be sensitive around sometimes providing email addresses, because then the buyer will be inundated, and it's Mother's Day in a couple of weeks, and it's a challenge. We hear about it, so we have to have a fine line in that regard of what we're communicating out. But this year with the changeover, we've been really vocal about who's coming and with the events and to the event, and we're going to be going out with a spreadsheet of the top 50 supermarkets. Who do we have, and how many stores are there that they're responsible for. So that hopefully that'll help.
Yeah, Kristen says, of course, she understands that. But I did see an email come out where you sent a list of potential supermarkets that are coming and businesses that are coming. So I did see that, and we're sending out an email, you could say, information that has a little bit more of a list as well. So, Kristen, you can reach out to me and I could send it to you as well. But I think there was a list, but not the particular names, because they're going to get bombarded. They're gonna
Uh,
get
To Bob's point, do not, if you're not a supplier of a company, do not reach out during the holidays, whether it's Valentine's or Mother's Day.
There you
We
go.
are either in stores, in the warehouses. That's a big thing. It's going to get missed.
It's going to get missed. So to do it in June or right after Mother's Day, to reach out and let them know that you're going.
And then I'll just make one more point on the show
Yes, sir.
floor. The attendees will have badges that'll identify whether they're a supermarket buyer or a retail florist, so that you'll be able to distinguish right away between supermarkets buying capacity and a retail florist as well.
So I know you announced that there's a new thing that buyers are going to kind of come in a little earlier. To asking Bradley, I guess I know you're applying, but how can the distributor take advantage of that opportunity? Right? What is to be expected, and how can they set up their sales floor, their exhibit, to allow you to make the best contact with them? Bradley?
You mean, I think they need to have some type of material out, maybe something highlighted, maybe it's a gold star or something flashing, or a business card, because if during that buyer's walkabout, which I'm super excited about, because we kind of can gauge, let's go here first, or let's make sure we put this on the list.
Okay.
But if they have something in their booth that they're really passionate about, have a sign say, buyer walkabout, shout out. Yeah.
Cool. Or an iPad that makes an appointment for later. Maybe, right? Right? But I'm just thinking ideas right now, or an iPad that gives a little video or something of that nature. But maybe an appointment setting thing, or little paper you could write in and say, I'll be back at 1 p.m. Because I think making appointments is important as well. Let me see. Kristen says, great info and thanks, and great info, she's saying. So again, please chime in, ask questions. Don't be shy. Chris is not shy, so she's awesome. But please do ask questions. Let me see. How is Floriexpo 2025 evolving to meet the challenging demands of floral suppliers and buyers? And I think this is a great question for you, Bob, and Kim, and everybody on this, is because of the great panel and great advisory board, is what's the different energy? What are we to expect in the next 5 years when it comes to Floriexpo? Because again, those great collaborations, great thinking outside of the box. What is to expect with that new energy on board?
I mean, well, the team that we have now, it just allows us to evolve as the industry changes year over year, and it always changes. So like we're on top of it, and we've just dabbled in. We came out with Flori 365, where we're promoting our exhibitors throughout, and sometimes the exhibitors, they're not aware of it. They don't take advantage of it, and I just think that kind of thing helps build awareness of the event, and it helps promote an exhibitor. Some of our companies that exhibit are small businesses, and they just don't have a lot of marketing resources.
Yeah.
And so we want to be, rather than just be at the show for 3 days and then see you next year, we want to be out there out front and promote. If you're an exhibitor with us, you're part of our family. So we want to promote you throughout the year rather than just during the 3 days of the show. And it helps everybody. It helps, Bradley, gain insight on a company that's coming to the show. Maybe what we're posting tweaks his interest, and it helps someone like Kim as well. We're investing a lot of money into the event. The return on investment, we always get, what are we getting out of it? Well, now you're getting an added feature where 365 days a year. We do want to branch out into more news coverage as well. We just want to be the hub, and then we're always looking for new partnerships, as what we've done with Afia and That Flower Feeling in terms of giving back. And I just think that combined, that just helps everybody. It helps the industry, and it's just the right thing to do, because people are investing with us, and we want to be able to give back to help promote the industry.
And I do want to give us a self-promotion here, but one investment you have made is bringing the Bloom Show on, right? Yeah. So we are going to be going to booth and kind of deciding based on products and the feel of it, but then that content's going to be shared as well through your audience. Yeah. So it'll be a great way to extend your shows, highlight products for time to come. So that's a testament to what you're looking to do as well, because you're also investing into creating more exposure for them. So
Right.
just when I mention that, and you'll see me running around. But I do have William Merlini said, "Greetings, Flower World," and he has a question: is the show sold out?
No, the show is not sold out, but we are
Yet.
more.
Yes, good one, Kim.
We're still signing up companies throughout. Christine is the salesperson, and she's doing very well. We have a lot of exhibitors to follow up with yet. So we're going to be very close to selling out. You know, I would say the characterization of the show this year is new exhibitors, more exhibitors, and new buyers and more buyers. So, our buyer list is shaping up to be very powerful this year. And our exhibitors, we have a lot of the majors coming back that haven't been with us in a while.
Exactly.
And we're excited because we think they're going to see an excellent return on investment, and that's just going to help propel more, growth for 2026. So, yeah, everything is heading in the right direction at this point. A buyer's going to be able to see products from every category, and so that's something in years past we've heard. We want to see more exhibitors. Coming out of COVID, it was a challenge, so we want to see more exhibitors. So this year we are providing more exhibitors, and the exhibitors say we want to see the top buyers in the country, which are coming this year. So it's the perfect mix for success.
That's awesome. And then we have a question here real quick. From I love the fact, or mentioned question, Deborah Sire, thank you for watching. I love the fact that the show is working to give more support to the floral industry. Have you considered doing more lobbying?
I mean, that's a goal as we're embedded within the industry. But our first point with working with Christine Bolt at a FIA. So what Floriexpo is doing is giving back a portion of the FIA members' exhibit fee to the association to support their lobbying efforts throughout lobbying efforts, and with tariffs as the number one priority now. Her job is one of the most important jobs right now to help the importers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very, very important. And it seems like you guys are kind of turning into an association. Just a joke, but you're doing so much that you're adding that long-term value. Congratulations.
But honestly, to that point, I hate to jump in, but Floriexpo a few years ago was something that popped up in your social media or your inbox about 8 weeks leading up to the show. And now it's really moving towards becoming a floral resource.
Yes.
So that is strictly focused just on floral, and that's huge for our industry. That's a major win right there. And Bob and his team have just done an incredible job. Like, there's just so much buzz this year for this show that it is very, very exciting. And I have to say that Floriexpo years ago, when it was IFE at the time, that was the first show that I went to as a buyer. And I found it incredibly, incredibly valuable.
And let me jump to your question real quick. And I think that jumps. How has attending Floriexpo events helped Galleria Farms expand relationships with key floral buyers?
I think for us, it's really just that opportunity to connect with your customers face to face, and nothing replaces that, and you get to show what's exciting, what's new, versus sending a spec sheet with maybe some samples. And I think that, to have those conversations in person and to speak to the product firsthand and tell the story. And, Bradley gets to come in and he gets to pick it up. He gets to smell the flowers. He gets to have the conversation on maybe how he would like to see it differently, or what he's looking for, or, oh my gosh, let's take this and now let's build that. You can't replace that. That is, it's invaluable. Like the networking opportunities firsthand at a show, that's the win for us for sure. And that's a recipe for success for everybody. It's It's in the booth when you're having those conversations, as corny as this sounds, like that's where the magic happens.
Mhm.
That's it. And I think for us as well, it's a great opportunity to meet new buyers and new potential customers where, we're going to grow our business and they're going to grow their business because both of us being successful is the goal. That's a true partnership. And not only that, it's also really great because a lot of buyers are getting ready to plan front half of 2026. So the show timing is
Perfect.
really, really perfect for
Yeah.
that front half 26 planning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not only flowers, it's a bunch of everything, right? So
Exactly.
I love it because I tend to find great startups, and I think that that's what excites me. And then there's plants, and can you share a little bit about that, Kim or
From a
Bob?
potted perspective, I
No,
do.
from an everything perspective, right? From an
From an
everything
everything
perspective.
perspective,
Yeah.
100%. You're going to walk in, you're able to find merchandising solutions.
Yeah.
You're able to find hard goods solutions. You're able to find potted solutions. And I mean, I know Bradley's going to agree with me on this. I'll put my former buyer hat on, but you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to have a little BC team just in case things go sideways. So you need to keep your finger on the pulse and really see what's happening out there so that you're keeping up with the trends, right? So that's just, pieces that come along with the show that you can't replace. You just need to be there.
You need to be present 100%.
Exactly.
Bob,
I
anything
think
you
if
want
I
to?
can mention
Please,
something
Bradley,
on
please.
vendors, it's in Florida. So, 50% of, you know, what we buy is whether it's foliage or flowers. I mean, it makes it easy being in Florida. It does really make it easy for those vendor partners to attend. And it's really, I think, a little bit cost efficient because it's so close to their home base. So it does make
Yes,
it easy for being in Florida for sure.
100%. And
definitely.
so we have a little. This is all amazing information. So grateful to be able to listen today from Michelle Wallace. Thank you for watching, Michelle. And then Willie is chiming in real quick and says, "People buy flowers. People buy flowers from people." Yeah. Right. It's important to build those relationships and solidify those relationships. And as Bob said, you might not be a drinker, but network. And one tip that I can give, because honestly, you were the first show I went to when I started my entrepreneur journey, is don't be shy. Right? Just go out there, introduce yourself to everybody. You never know. And it might even be, and Bradley, you could attest to this or not, but you might not want to talk to that vendor because they're going to sell you something, but you might learn something from that vendor. So it's always open to be approachable, I think. Right,
I
Bradley? I
think,
hope you
yeah.
agree.
I mean, I remember being on a bus when it was in Chicago and just talking to other buyers and starting those
Yeah,
relationships because their
Hmm.
wins, I want to hear what their wins are. Whether
exactly.
we compete against each other or not, we're all in the same industry and we have to find solutions to our problems.
That's
Yeah,
how Bradley and I met, was
Yep.
through Floriexpo,
Yep.
you
right?
see? And I think
That's
a
right.
smile goes a long way, right? Being approachable, the way you
Yes.
carry yourself. This, hey, hi, how are you? Walking by, maybe next time they'll approach you. But it's also being approachable, which is key because it could be intimidating. It can be very intimidating to interrupt the conversation or to make you feel uncomfortable as
But we can
a
all learn
buyer.
so much from each other at these
So
shows by
much,
just
yes.
networking. And one of the things I love about, I always just call it the mixer. It's the golden hour,
Hmm.
but it's not like this obligated, forced thing that you have to go to. It's
Yeah,
just fun and relaxed and social. And I think that everybody's just excited to be in the same room and just catch up and have conversations. And it goes so fast before you know it, we're all running off to dinners. But those opportunities are invaluable, and we do learn so much from each other. Like for me, it was great as a Canadian buyer because I was able to network with all the American buyers, and everyone was like,
yep.
well, we'll just share everything with this girl because she's not our competition. But you do learn so much from everybody that, we have great takeaways, and you come back and you're so motivated and inspired to just like set new actions in place to your stores.
Yeah, there's something to learn from everybody. No matter what room you walk into, there's something to learn. from
Yes.
everyone. Bradley, how does Floriexpo enhance the floral retail experience, and why is it critical for supermarkets like yourself, United, to attend?
It's the boot camp. The boot camp last year was spectacular. Super excited about the boot camp. You meet people, you have great conversations. Just the experience, it's small enough to go everywhere, see
Okay.
every booth, like I said earlier. The boot camp, the education piece, there's a lot that I learned that I implemented last year from boot camp and excited for this year's boot camp. But there's always little nuggets that you're going to catch up on, or experience, or people that you're going to meet, or vendors or other peers that in a buyer world, that you're just going to pick up little nuggets. Little nuggets is how we get bigger nuggets. And so, you can take the twist off of something. There's really no secrets in our industry, right? I mean, we're just trying to buy the best product, sell it to our guest. And so you can take a nugget that you learn from somebody and make it your own. So I think the experience part is there's education, and that's huge. And they're bringing different things to the boot camp to make us really better, whether it's a buyer or a vendor. So that's the exciting part for me.
And Bob, the boot camp starts what day? So everybody's kind of prepared and is aware. So the boot camp starts what day? It's the 3rd or 4th?
Floriexpo it's a 3-day event. So the boot camp education day is June 4th. That's Wednesday, and then the show floor is Thursday and Friday.
And then Friday. So the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th.
4th, 5th, and 6th. Yes.
Yeah, and then don't forget to sign up for the cruise.
The cruise.
Right? Sign up for the cruise. Last year I missed it. I didn't sign up, so I regretted it. I miscommunication, but sign up for the cruise. It's a must attend. And if you haven't seen South Florida, believe it or not, I rarely get on the water, and I live 30 minutes from it. So for me, it's a nice treat to be on a boat for 2 hours. It's just a nice treat, and people tend to drop their guard and just hang out. I think it's important. We're going to say something about.
Yeah, just with the education and extension. So the Friday, the session on tariffs that Sahid, you're heading up.
Yes, sir.
We want to give something back to the exhibitors too. So we brought that on the show floor, because Friday is usually a traditional quieter day. So we're bringing that on the show floor. We're providing a full breakfast for everybody in attendance as well.
Yeah.
That we haven't done in the past. So we think that Friday is going to be more productive than in years past. And it gives, this is something of interest for the exhibitors too. So that they're setting up their booth, many of them during boot camp, so they can't attend those sessions, but they can all attend this session. So
talk about innovation, right? You're doing something different to bring that information to them and adding value, not just to the attendees, but to the vendors as well. So make sure your team is there and other people that would like to listen to this panel. And thank you for the opportunity. Kristen, I'm not sure what you're saying. It will be after today's show. So please just clarify so we can get that answered for you. And then Anna Moran, we're excited to participate this year again. Floriexpo is doing a great job in uniting the floral community. So
thank you.
They certainly are. They certainly are. And that's why we're excited to be participating and supporting as well, because it's all about community. And I think that's a wrap, unless there's anything else you'd like to cover. We're kind of running out of, close to the deadline. So, Bob, is there anything else you want to chime in?
Well, just a couple little mini show floor features. We're going to have a barista on the show floor for available to everyone, and they tell us they can put our Floriexpo logo on their latte cream.
Okay.
So we'll see about that. And then during the happy hour,
can you put a little Irish cream or rum in it?
Yeah,
we're in Florida. Go for it.
And then during the we have a slew of special events Thursday evening in terms of the flower naming and the iron designer competition. That's always very exciting. The designers are a tight-knit community they all come to the event, so it's great to see them all gather and network. And alongside that, we're going to have like they'll have a cookie station. They'll be making cookies. So you're going to
Oh,
you know,
nice.
who doesn't like the
Okay.
smell of a cookie? So we were all about the
Wow.
experience. So they're making fresh baked cookies for everybody in the hall Thursday afternoon. So
That's
something to
super.
try, see if it, we want you to
I
walk away. I remember those cookies. I remember that smell. So,
Full
Yeah,
and caffeinated.
yeah,
yeah, and sugar up, gives you
Yeah.
some energy.
yeah.
Another chime in here is it's Lisa. Thank you, Bob, Lauren, and Christine, for being as dedicated and passionate about this industry as we all are. This year's show is going to be fantastic. Thank
Thank
you for chiming in. And we are doing a little bit of a VIP Bloom Together Floriexpo edition. So we're excited about that. It's only for key buyers. So do sign up when you get the opportunity, the email from Floriexpo. So it's something that we're excited about sharing as well, as Bloom Together is about building community. So did want to give a shout out to that as well. And Bob, I'm sorry, Bradley, would you like to say anything? And Kim?
I'm just excited to see everyone and see all the new fun things that we can share with our guests and have those impulse items that are going to really move the needle.
Fantastic. And how about yourself, Kim?
Excited to be there. Excited to see everybody come together and all these small, perks and specialized things that we've all been discussing on the advisory board for so many months now come to life.
And if you want any further information, great website, very easy to navigate, Floriexpo.com, and you can check it out. There's also a code if you're just an attendee and a buyer as an attendee. I believe it's called Bloom On. If you need any more information or a free entrance, just reach out to me or reach out to Bob through LinkedIn. He's very accessible, and you could always sign up for a ticket as a buyer, right, Bob? How is that working? How do they sign up?
That works fine. I just want to mention, for the first time, our room block is almost sold out. So if you're a high volume buyer, we provide complimentary hotel room stay for you. But we're coming up against, the room block running out. So if you're thinking about attending, just reach out to myself or Lauren or, through the website or on our emails and just let us know and we'll make sure that we secure a spot for you.
And again, very easy, Floriexpo.com. Right? Very, very easy. You must have got in that very long time ago because it's only 2 words, so they're hard to find nowadays. But again, Bob, Kim, Bradley, thank you so much for your time, for sharing insight on how everybody throughout the entire community could take advantage and really have a great experience at Floriexpo. I've been going for the last 5 years. I always have a great experience. I enjoy that it's in Fort Lauderdale. It gets me away from Miami a little bit, and it's not so far from Miami. Great airport to fly into. They say Fort Lauderdale Airport sometimes better than Miami. More affordable flights and easier to navigate. So it's and you're not far. You could actually take a train if you're in Orlando. Most probably Willie will give a shout out saying that's exactly what he'll do. So there's so many ways to get to Floriexpo and easy because it's so accessible for everybody. So thank you everybody for joining and thank you again to the Floriexpo team for sharing your time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. So, there I go, my face again. Let me fix that. There we go. So again, thank you to Floriexpo. We're super excited to be partnering with them as a media partner this year. And why? Because there is that sense of community now. There is that sense of a new energy, of innovation. A simple thing like doing a panel on the last day to add value to the vendors that are, some cases just like, oh man, we've been here all day. Now there's value for them. And it's really awesome to see a barista, give you your caffeine. So all these small details, I think it's super important to see that there's investment going into this organization, to this convention, from that flower feeling, supporting that flower feeling with an event that they're going to do and a party, to the show, the boat, the cruise. So there's so many things that truly add value, not only for networking, but education, information, and also having the resources to find different products all at once, from potted plants to floral globes, to fresh bouquets, to co-innovative products, to new small startups. And I encourage the buyers to stop buying, to check out these new products and engage, especially since you're able to come in early, see if it's something you really like, and then come by later. But there's such cool. One time I saw a potted plant that made music and a little live terrarium that was this size, and I still have it. And as a consumer, it's just cool. And as long as you have your eyes open and you're looking for it, you'll find something cool and different every time you go to Floriexpo. So again, thank you for them for being on today, and really appreciate that. I want to do a little housekeeping today. Let me see here. On May 16th, we will have Jennifer Diaz and Santiago Gomez de la Torres of Everglades to unpack how U.S.-China tariffs affect floral trade. And depends how that show goes, we might actually have them in the panel. So do watch the show because we are having Jennifer Diaz, which is a tax attorney. So she's very well connected, international tax attorney. So she is going to bring a lot of great information to the table and allowing us to understand where we're headed with this, right? And that's a wrap. I really appreciate everybody for joining, for watching, everybody for chiming in and commenting. You always make it so much fun. And see you at Floriexpo. Have a great one.
The bloom, showing if they connect and bloom. The bloom, showing if they connect and bloom.